Hello, people. Welcome to this knitting podcast. My name is Siggy. I live in the south of Sweden, and let me just share stuff that I make with you. Today, I have a surprisingly large, for me at least, amount of things that I've finished that I want to talk about. I have some plans and some things that I've bought, and I also want to show you a book and I'm building my sock empire, and I want to show you all about it. So beginning with the what I am wearing, I'm wearing this shawl. It's called, hold on, it's called the Siggy triangle shawl. So as soon as I heard of this pattern, I had to knit it because it's called Siggy with a Y, and I'm Siggy but with an I. But it's still, it makes sense that I make a shawl that's appropriate for my name. It's really pretty. Can you see it? Can you see it? It's really lovely lace pattern. And I made it in 2 yarns. Both are from the brand Permin. I don't know if that's available outside of Scandinavia, but this white one is called Leonora, and the blue one is called Angel. And the white one is mainly silk, a little bit of wool, and a little tiny bit of mohair. And the blue one is silk with mohair, like the standard kind of fluff style yarn. And that one is held solo. Both are held solo, and it's these beautiful white and blue colors that are matching. You cannot see it now, but I have a hammock that I can hang through my apartment, and it has exactly these dark blue and white colors. So this matches my hammock. I made this basically in 1 week because I was sick. I thought at first this shawl, this complex lace, or for me at least it's quite complex lace. I usually do not do stuff with lace. Single held dark mohair yarn on like dark wood knitting needles. I thought it would be like a very, very, very long project, but then I got a cold and I was sick for like a week, and I didn't feel like doing absolutely anything besides sitting down and knitting on this shawl. So it kept me really distracted while I was just sniffling and blowing my nose, and at the end I got this really pretty scarf. I cannot say that I am longing to make another project where I use a really dark mohair yarn held single on dark needles. That was really that was a challenge, but the pattern was easy to read and easy to follow once I understood it, and I did it. And I think it's really cool that it gets these that I get this zigzag. That was a really beautiful shot, was it not? That it gets this zigzag effect. I thought that was super cool. And it's also, like, we know we are in the trend area of the smaller scarves, but this felt like it has a lot more variation inside of it than just a plain single color, single texture one, like the Sophie scarf that I have made already. So I thought this felt very interesting and fun to make. And it has this very light, like it weighs, I think it used, like, both of these yarns came in 25 gram balls, and I think I used maybe half of the mohair and 2/3 of the white one, so it weighs very little. I would recommend this pattern. It's really lovely and fun even for someone who is not super used to lace, and it feels easy enough. The other thing that I made is something that I was kind of planning when I made my last video, which is these fingerless glove mittens, and they are made in, can I show you? It's ribbed 3 by 1 rib, and it's in a yarn called maybe, fuck, did I already show these? No, I think I made a prototype and then I finished both. Whatever. They are in a yarn called Svensk ull tretrådig from a brand called Järbo. So it's Swedish wool, thickness. I cannot remember ever the names of the yarn thicknesses, but it's like, I would say, some medium thickness. It feels quite rustic and cheap feeling, but it does not bother me at all on the hands. It feels nice, and they're warm and they're good, and I sort of follow the pattern, sort of made it up, but it's just, a tube and then some increases and then tube. So it's not a very deep pattern to make, and I would make them again. I think they fit very well. I think the 3x1 rib is nice, and it was incredibly quick to make them. It must have taken only a few days, and I use them all the time, so that's nice to have some homemade gloves. They are not, to me, not super interesting, but they were a lovely thing to make on my own. But now for the things that I am super proud of, which is that I made 2 pairs of socks. I made this pair of they have a 3x1 rib on the, what's it called, the leg, going down over the color change, then this heel flap heel. Oh, that's bright for the camera. And then just a toe. And I made this other pair, which is striped. Oh no, you see the not nice edge. Here we go. Striped with a shadow wrap heel and some ribbing at the edge. And this just happened because I got like complete sock obsession. And I will show you. I made in this little notebook that I have, that I use for some yarn stuff. And basically I was obsessed with, like, I just used a lot of Pinterest to find lots of images of socks that I liked, and I felt like I needed to kind of figure out how to use those reference images in a constructive way. So I went to the library and I printed them. Here we go. So I printed a lot of these images of socks that I like, color combinations that I like, and I printed a bunch of other knitting related images that I like, and some clothing combination and color combinations. Like, all of these color combinations kind of speak to me. And then, yeah, some more color combinations that spoke to me. And then I looked at all of the, let's see. Oh, I'm sorry for this. This is very chaotic. I looked at all of the sock styles that I liked here, and then I drew them. I made these little illustrations of like all the kind of styles of socks that I liked, to kind of understand what these socks were doing that I enjoyed. And then I also looked at different yarn brand websites and printed out some images of the yarn colors that I thought might fit into this, all of these color inspirations that I had. And then this is the part that I'm the most proud of. I started drawing these sock combinations that I really want to make. So color combinations that interest me. So this one sock here, this one I have made. This is this one, that's there. And then this one is that one. So now I am kind of want to make socks in all of these color combinations. And this is my sock empire. For the contents of this is made from, I went to this, me and my partner, we went to this yarn festival, or like craft festival, that had lots of people selling yarn, and I really wanted to buy some fibers of a bit more interesting qualities, because the yarn shops in my city have some, but I found it the most interesting to find. I want to find yarn that feels very like close to the animal and very, yeah, rustic, I guess would be the word. Those are my favorite textures when I knit. Not necessarily my favorite textures when wearing something, but I prioritize the feeling when I knit, because that's the hobby, that's the joy. So, but I got this sock I bought. This is Tynn Per Gynt from Sandnes, and in this I find it to be the most electric, vibrant, gorgeous tomato color for the heel and for the whatever the edge. And then I this brown gray. Can you see? Yeah, I'm looking at the screen to see. This brownish gray. It looks colder on the screen than in real life. It's a bit warmer in real life. This is from a brand called Ullcentrum, which is based in Sweden. It uses Swedish wool, and this is inspiring, like the name of the yarn type is called a tunt garn, like thin yarn. And they have mostly yarn thickness, most of their yarns, the most color variation they have in a yarn that is of sport weight. And I want to make socks from smaller, and this is the one they have. They don't have many colors of this yarn, but it's Swedish and it's very rustic, and when I bought it, it still smelled very strongly of sheep, which I super enjoyed. And this is another one that I also bought in this craft festival. This is from a hand dyer, and I don't think this is custom made yarn for that person, but the fiber content of this is Corriedale, and it's very soft and fluffy. And the hand dyer is called Fingerborg, and these three. This content of this is, I don't know, it's just called Swedish wool, and this is just called Norwegian wool. So that's the only sheep style I know. But this is the sock. And these are also yarn that I got in this craft fair. This greenish beige brown color is from a wool spinnery and dyery called Avelsås, and they make Swedish yarn from Swedish sheep. And this is this very nice, I don't know, can you see that it's quite fluffy? It is quite fluffy. It's from two sheep sorts. One is Gotland and one is Jämtland, and it's a combination of those two types of sheep. And these mint colored stripes is also Tynn Per Gynt from Sandnes. So some commercial, some more local combination. And here I made this heel. The shadow wrap technique, I have only used this time. I think I prefer the process of making these heels. It feels a bit easier, the flap heel. This is a bit tight and strange on the hands, but it did fit quite nicely on my heel. I cannot say that I love that when you lay it flat, you cannot lay it flat without it bumping up. I don't know why I don't super like that. But these two pairs of socks are my pride and my joy, and they were both made on 2mm needles. I used, for this one, only double-pointed needles. First wood, and then I snapped enough of my wooden 2mm to go over to using metal, 2mm metal. And on these I used 2mm of metal, but I also experimented with, I got one of these mini circular needles, and have been experimenting with trying to learn how to knit on those. I find it quite stressful on the hands, especially on the thumb and the index finger of my right hand. I'm right-handed. When I knit with double-pointed needles, I've noticed that I think I use my little finger to kind of control the needles, and I don't have like I don't have any tension at all in my hands. Like the needles just sort of lie on my hands, and I think I use like my wrist movements to create the stitches, but that doesn't work, like, because then the needle is long enough for me to like use my hand like this to leverage the needle. But on a tiny circular needle, it's so small that I cannot use my little finger to guide the needle, so I have to use my thumb and index finger, and that is causing tension in my fingers, and I'm way slower knitting on these small circulars than on the double pointeds. But I think it's a habit thing. I talked to a woman in a yarn shop, and she said that it took her like a year to learn properly how to have a flow when knitting with these tiny circulars. So I'm prepared to keep learning. I found them extremely practical when I was traveling, because I went to my family over Easter. And I found that to be very, very easy, because usually when I have the double pointed needles, I will lose one needle or I will break it or whatever. But with the tiny circular, it's all attached, it's all there inside of the sock. So I'm happily making socks and building my sock empire. That's everything that I have made. The thing that I have started making is this is my first little bits of the Sakuri cardigan by Noriko Ichikawa, and this is made in, see here, whoo, it's pretty. This is made from Knitting for Olive heavy merino in the color brown bear, and I sampled and I looked at different yarns and different colors. I think maybe I kind of wanted something a little bit more rustic or close to where I am from, but I fell so much for this color. To me, it's exactly the color that I was looking for, a quite dry brown with still a tiny bit of color shifts in it. And I have two blocked, might be invisible, but on my blocked swatch here, I think it maybe shows that it gets a tiny bit woollier or fussier after you block it. So I hope that, because to me this is merino of yarn, and if you see it, it's like very, very smooth. It's plied, I think it's 6 tiny strings, 3 2-plies that are twisted together. So it's there is no, it feels on my hand like almost like a cotton yarn, and it behaves very similarly, I think, to a cotton yarn when you knit with it, because it has all of these very tiny strands that it's made up of. So for my hands, this is not a very fun, like, it's not the most fun experience to hold and interact with this material, but since it's going to be a big cardigan, and it's going to be worn, I want to wear it a lot. I wanted to prioritize making it a color that I like, and also a texture that my skin will enjoy, and so that it gets worn a lot. I was looking at a bunch of different cardigan patterns, and I find cardigan, it was quite difficult, I found, to get one that looked a bit polished but not super decorated. Like, there are some beautiful cardigans with lots of cable decors, and some more like feminine cardigans with ruffles and lace stuff, but it was a bit too much. And then you have all of these cardigans that go quite towards the platonic ideal of a cardigan, round neck, straight out arms, and that I don't know, it's not what I wanted. It's not what I wanted. I think I wanted something a bit sexier, you know, a tiny bit more polished, because a wool cardigan is not the sexiest, I dare say. I thought this would give the Sakuri cardigan had a little bit more. It was a bit cooler. It looks a bit cooler than many other cardigans, I find. So far, it's just a quite simple pattern. There are many pages of instructions, so I'm writing down the instructions that are for my size and what I want to do. And I kind of I'm trying to going to make a little vlog about the experience of knitting it. So maybe you will see that. And that is what I'm working on right now. The thing that I purchased this season, this month, I went to my family in Gothenburg and visited a super nice yarn shop there called Stick Wick. And they had a brand that I have been very curious to try out, which is Retrosario Rosa Pomar. And can we get some light? This is the sock yarn, Mondim, and it's in a kind of... Hello camera, can you give a good color? Yeah, it's this olive, khaki, green, yellow color. It looks brown on my camera, but it's pretty green in real life. And it's a whole 100 grams in one bowl, and it's incredibly bouncy, the texture of this skein. So I got this one, and this corresponds to some, like I have, for example, this sock here that I think is going to be this green one with the mint color Per Gynt heel and toe, or I have it here also, like in some examples. So that's this color, and then I got this blue, what? It's called, hello. It's called Kit Couture. It seems to be somehow, it says it's distributed by Phil Colana. Like, I don't know what that means, if it's like a sub-brand of Phil Colana, but it's this quite dark blue. This is a merino wool and nylon, and Mondim does not have any nylon. I don't think it's superwash. I usually don't go for the one with the synthetic fibers inside, because I don't know, I feel like I can feel it, but sometimes I just do it. And these are going to become socks. So now I have this like palette, so of all of the I have sock colors. This is like my sock. Is this the intro image? This is my sock color palette, and then I can start making interesting patterns. And another acquisition in that area is this. I went to this second-hand bookshop and I got this book called Korsstygnsmönster från Norden, Östeuropa, Jugoslavien, Grekland. Basically cross-stitch patterns from the Nordics, Eastern Europe, and the Balkans and Greece. And it's from the late 70s, and it has these nice illustrations of cross-stitch patterns that are traditional or found in these different regions. And I thought it felt like I could maybe use some of these patterns and transfer them onto sock legs or sock feet. So that was a bit of inspiration there. I really liked, like, they're pretty. Like a bird, I could imagine having a bird like that on my sock. I think that's that. Yeah. This is everything that I kind of made. The plans that I have is to make socks. The plans that I have is to make the Sakuri cardigan, and then we will see. I'm really happy if you stayed all the way and watched me all the way here. It's like half hour of talking about my knitting. If you want to leave a comment, I would be super happy to hear you say hi, and I will see you the next time that I make a video. Happy knitting, and I will see you in the internet. Bye bye!